started? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time to join us. My name is Antonio Lopez, City Councilman for East Palo Alto, and this is our second session for the ad hoc committee. We represent various folks from across cities, across different positions in education, and city civic leadership, really concerned about what's happening with the Sequoia School District, particularly with the issue of diversity. And that is sort of our singular issue at the moment. This is our second iteration of the meeting. Just want to make sure that everyone is here. The committee, I believe we're missing still Canepa, but of course, if he comes in, it'll be awesome. And so I want to just, I passed the agenda out on Facebook and I emailed it to the ad hoc folks. So if you want to refer to that, please do. But our first item for today, just want to give everyone an update on the discussions that we've had between the ad hoc members in the Sequoia Union High School District. So I just want to report back that we had our last meeting with Superintendent Leach and the President of the Board of Trustees, Alan Sarver. That was in February 12th. And it was our understanding that on that next week on the 15th, they were going to get back to us to talk about next steps. We came in with the idea that, you know, what do they think about our ad hoc? Were they going to formalize it as part of the district process? Are they going to integrate that into hiring? What are the thoughts of the district? Since then, we haven't heard back officially from Sequoia High School District. They had committed to respond to us. They committed to respond to us by Monday of the 15th of February. It's been over a week. So as far as next steps, I think what we're going to do is request a follow-up meeting because they haven't responded. And so I just wanted to go around the room with the ad hoc, my fellow ad hoc members, to think if contacting them for a follow-up meeting would be the most appropriate response at the moment. Share thoughts.
Yeah, hi everyone, this is Hector. If you were told that you would receive a response on the to ask for what's, since we're talking about a deadline that was today, right, for the application closing. So I think even if you can get that message out today, that would be ideal. I apologize for my spotty.
Hector, it was a bit broken up. Could you just repeat it briefly what you said? That I think I got most of it, but
yeah, I apologize for my Wi-Fi. I have a response by the 15th. I think it's reasonable applications that you ask for. I mean, we just need to I mean, I know on the agenda for today whether there's a request for an extension of application, but we don't even know where they are in the process. How many candidates are there? So
yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great idea, great to follow up, see what they have to say, where are they at, you know, what is again the transparency issue that we sort of brought last time. Other thoughts from the ad hoc members?
This is Cecilia. I'm supportive of what Hector just said, and I'm having the same challenges, spotty internet over here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat with the Wi-Fi, but this is Maurice. I agree. I definitely am in line with Hector's advice and suggestion.
Okay, great. Great. So just to confirm, we're going to email them back, basically say, hey, first of all, we haven't heard a response. We'll have a follow-up meeting. Where does the district officially stand with respect to the ad hoc? And also some more transparency about the timeline of where they are at with the ad hoc committee, with the hiring process of the superintendent. Does that seem, Hector, kind of in line with what you're saying?
Yeah, and make sure really clear details about what the timeline looks like. We met on the 12th, and I spoke with X and 12 and was told that I would receive a reply on the 15th. Today's the 24th. make sure everyone's aware of, like, this isn't new. This is a continued conversation. So where are we? I think it's also fair to say, you know, I think it's appropriate for us to have a tomorrow. Like, that's, we're already here, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Wholeheartedly agree. Any other final comments or things to add on before we move on to the next item? All right. Just want to move on to the next item on the list. We have committee member. Do you have any updates or thoughts from the committee? Once again, I think it's really integral that as we're moving forward with this, our engagement with the district, that it's not one particular council member or official that is spearheading it, but really that we're a group and we're organized and aligned on this issue. So I wanted to just open it up to see if there are further thoughts or updates by the council members in correspondence or the district that you all would like to share during this time for the meeting.
Just 1 second, I'm checking on it. Thank you for dropping that in the chat.
Antonio,
Yes, go ahead.
so I might be a little behind on this, but how diverse is the search committee, the actual committee doing the search, besides the board, obviously, or the vendor who's helping with the search?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Again, that's one of the questions for me and myself. I think it's be helpful to get clarification. Again, it goes back to the issue of transparency of where they're at. You know, I'd love to hear the rest of the members, but I'm not entirely sure how diverse it is.
I think that the selection committee should be as diverse as it can be too, to look for the qualities that would represent everyone. That's why I'm bringing it up. Sorry, Melee.
No worries. So just to give everybody a little bit of context, they hired a third party that's going to be kind of conducting the search. During the initial, and I included the link to the Sequoia Union High School District's page that is solely for the superintendent search. And each tab kind of highlights what's kind of going on. During the initial, like the beginning phases, they did reach out to a lot of the districts. So my district, the Ravenswood City School District, was invited to be part of the conversation. I believe that there was a survey that was administered to see what kind of were the qualities that people wanted in the superintendent, what they should look out for. And I don't know the specific of who within that third party is kind of doing the interviews, but I can also look into that.
So typically, and Maurice can speak to it too, because he's been through some of these searches. It's the sole discretion of the board to hire. And so it will be just the board that's involved in interview. That's why they did that kind of outreach in the early stages. We need to know before we head looking for, and the consultants to factor that in when they're doing their screening. Not even screening, they're just checking the reference like that, and then the board takes all that feedback and does its own interview. You do it that way for a couple of reasons. They're one employee, right? And I think there's also the reality that some of the fully open with that they're looking in another. I think there's a confidentiality piece there, context to that, the process piece.
Right, so I understand the process, Hector, thanks. I totally understand that. I'm just curious, you know, during this process, you know, how diverse are the meeting groups? I mean, there is a former principal of Sequoia High School, who is a great person. Her name was Morgan Marchbanks, and she was African-American. She was one of the best superintendents and administrators I've ever met. So bringing in people like that who have a historical context as well, I think is really important. I just don't know what this board is doing. That's the problem. I understand the process, but along the way, there should be some diversity injected into the process.
That, and I would extend that to say is the board does those decisions, but does it have to be that way, right? Because Virginia, you're bringing up a very important point of transparency is so critical to this and having good representation. So why is it handled the way that it is?
Right. Yeah, that process piece is going to be important, but that's just, I'm one person, it's my 2 cents worth. But I know that Morgan was fantastic. We became very, very good friends, and she would be a fantastic resource for that district right now.
If I may chime in quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Adili Skillen. Again, I'm a teacher at Sequoia High School. Morgan Marchbanks hired me twice, by the way. She hired me when I was at from Ravenswood to Carlmont. Then she hired me again she's like my big sis. So definitely I echo what is being said. I would definitely go along with what you're saying. And then to double back, just to give you guys some information, the hiring consulting, the firm, it's being run by an African-American and a Latino gentleman. Those are the 2 head point people of the hiring for the firm that the district is using. And so I think a lot of the questions that we're having, I think the equity committee with the district run by Pablo and Taja and Ms. Henderson, I think a lot of these questions we can clarify a lot of the information too, and I'm also a part of it as well. So just food for thought and information that we can have.
Thank you, Adili. My sons both went to Sequoia and they loved it.
Excellent, excellent.
Okay, other thoughts by ad hoc members? If that's not the case, then I think if it's all right with everyone, I think transitioning to the 3rd item, and I think in terms of a game plan, one of the things that I think, and Melee, I appreciate you sharing the link because it really shows it so sharply, is that the application deadline is actually coming up. All applications to be submitted by Friday, in 2 days from now. And I think it would be imprudent if the committee just went ahead with the hiring of, or cease the application process now when we're not entirely sure about the transparency, being in the know of everything that's going on. And so I think just what I'm proposing is that we send a letter, in addition to the letter that we've discussed previously, signed by the committee members to ask the board of the Sequoia District to extend the application for the superintendent search, to give them more time to incorporate our feedback, incorporate our comments, to create more of a dialogue between this body, which is connected to the community, and incorporating that with their application search. What do folks think in terms of just, again, the board members themselves?
I'm thinking personally about our ability to be effective and what we want as a group. I'm also concerned with, again, like Adili just said, that there is a group that is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us on the ground. And so how can we respect their involvement and their leadership in this work, and then also at the same time ensure that we're moving towards our goal. So I think ideally we have to make sure that what we want and what's actually being done is aligned. And so if it is truly just, I mean, not just, but if it's truly to ensure that we have people of color a part of this pool, we have to find out first what has been done to do that. And I do believe, like I mentioned at the last meeting or gathering, that I do believe if they've been giving those marching orders, they will go out and ensure just that they do at least provide you with a quality pool of diverse candidates. Now, if the next step is saying, okay, this is where we are, we will have a pool of quality, diverse candidates, I think the conversation then turns to the board to ensure how can they take our voice into account. And maybe it is having some type of subcommittee of the board meeting with our group to ensure that they understand the importance of representation and diversity when they make their decision. Because trying to derail that process, I don't think it's not any disrespect to us of what we're trying to do, but I don't think it's respectful to those that are aligned with our goals and our mission to try to derail what they've already been a part of. So.
This is Cecilia. I agree with Maurice just shared and also with Adili. Just curious, is anyone on this call a part of that subcommittee?
You're talking about the equity committee that they have on site or the hiring subcommittee?
The hiring subcommittee.
So it would just be typically at this point, what you have the two gentlemen from Leadership Associates going out doing listening sessions within the community of, talking to stakeholders. So that's where they are now. And that's what I would think that they would be doing. So there isn't necessarily a subcommittee, and then the rest of the work will be done between the Leadership Associates and the board.
And is there opportunity for us to submit questions that we want asked of the candidates?
Yes, and that's all through public comment, the public comment format. So it's probably not agendized. So it would just be in the beginning at the non-agendized section. You could say, I know that the board will be reviewing this. These are questions that are critical. Yeah, I think it would be showing up and saying, these are questions I think are critical, and I'm submitting them to the board for your review. And I'd hope that the community would get at least a list of questions that the board is thinking about answering. So putting it in that real public form, I think is helpful. It's not meant to call out. It's really to say, like, these are important to us. So you all want to have a dialogue about this. And I'd agree with Maurice. From our first gathering, what I don't want to do, as Maurice said, I'm going to reiterate that of undermining the work that's happening with that teacher group. That I think, Antonio, as the leader of this group, I think it's helpful in that conversation that you're going to have, or the message you're going to send today about the update is like, and we want to support the work that's going on internally already. So I don't know, somehow we have to connect with the group that's already doing the work in there, because we don't want to undermine that.
No, I appreciate both of your comments. And as a matter of fact, in one of the early discussions before this committee was formed, I had conversations with Taja, I had conversations with Paul Aguilar, and really honoring and respecting the work that the teachers are doing. They know best what's been going on historically with the district. So I think one of the takeaways that I'm getting just from having hearing this conversation is in tandem with the letter that we're sending. One, iterating in the body of that letter, the work that we're trying to be aligned with the teachers and how we can support them, but also reaching out, again, happy to do that with the teachers themselves on the front lines, and kind of, again, corresponding with them what we're doing in this capacity and how we can assist, and just creating that pathway between the teachers, what they're doing, and what we're trying to do, and report back and try to coordinate efforts.
Yeah, and to extend kind of what Maurice was saying, I think it's our message of what can we accomplish as a group is we can make all the demands we want, but how many demands do you want to make that are just ignored, right? So what is the proper message to put out there that keeps the work moving? And I think that's that kind of tone that you want to strike is, do we want to be the people that say, you will do this, this, and this, and they just say, that's lovely, but we're going to go ahead and do this? Or do we want to say, this is what we're looking for? And if that doesn't come to pass, that's going to be a problem, right? Is, you know, the whole goal of this is to increase diversity, and that starts at the top. So when we get through these next stages of this search and it comes out that, you know, the community was not a part of this, you better believe we're going to be at board meetings and the community will be there alongside us, because we had these conversations before, when this was started, before it started, and throughout the way, along the way.
Understood. Sort of, I guess, just kind of setting the tone and parameters of here's what we'd like to achieve in tandem with the teachers. And if that isn't met, you know, it's going to be problematic for these 6 reasons, or it's not aligned with the equity values that we all purportedly stand for. I appreciate that a lot. Any other comments from Melee or yeah, other folks? Okay, well, I think I have more than enough to work off of to draft up a letter, and I'm more than happy, y'all, to send it to you in draft form. See if there is anything you would like to revise from the language. Make sure that it represents actually the will of this group of people, of this group. And really, I think what I hear also is the tone, that it's not per se effective if we come in with a kind of tone of demanding, but not having the leverage or bargaining chip, if you will, to actually meet that. So being mindful of how we address it is also going to be helpful, I think.
And Antonio, I think it's fair though to say that, like, we are giving leeway, but like at the end of the day, there's an outcome that we're hoping to achieve. So like it's not us like completely saying, well, you're going to do what you're going to do. It's us saying you're going to do what you're going to do, and we're watching really closely what you're doing. And our community will continue to watch and engage. And that's not supposed to be a scary thing, right? You're supposed to want your community to be engaged in this process and want them to show up when something is not, well, ideally you want them to show up all the time, but you know, that you want to know that they're going to show up when something of concern comes on their radar. So it's striking that balance.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's also an opportunity to, you know, to kind of say exactly what we want. We understand the process, we know where we are, but I think not trying to blow the process up can go a long way as well. And basically saying, hey, we understand where you are and we want to be a part of the process moving forward, where we can fit in. And I think definitely there's opportunity for us to be a part of the process moving forward. If it's, you know, being a part of, you know, along with the rest of the public, screening the questions that will be asked in the ultimate in the interview process, if possibly working with leadership associates as they create the rubric that the board will be using as far as the application process or screening the applications. I mean, there's opportunities there, but it's really just a matter of saying, hey, this is truly what we want. We understand the process. We would like to be a part of it in a respectful manner, and letting them know that, you know, we are not going away as a group, that, you know, they understand that this is a group that's going to be here. This is not just, you know, a fad or something that just kind of went out, that we demand this, not just for ourselves, but for our students, for our faculty and our staff, you know, and like I said, when we were in front of them, that this is an opportunity for them to work with us, that we're all aligned with the goals. But it's just a matter of how important is it, how much is a sense of urgency on their part to ensure that equity starts at the top. And, you know, we're reaching out and saying, hey, you know, join us and allow us to join you.
If I may add to what Maurice said and Hector said, holistically, to go along with that, the superintendent herself is talking about equity and has continuously sent emails and talked about equity. And so it is also to just say, to go along with that and say, we are listening to what you're saying and we are following through. Our group is talking about how there needs to be a greater amount of equity. And I'm literally on the equity committee. I'm on the hiring portion of our school's equity committee that's going to be for on a greater portion, excuse me, going to be toward the district. So, and I know the hiccups of our district. I am a Black teacher in our district. Trust and believe, I understand what's up. And I worked in East Palo Alto. I worked in Ravenswood. I was at the 49er Academy when it started. Trust and believe, I understand the hiccups. And so you, with you guys, with coming with this strength and this support, it then bolsters what we're trying to do from the interior with its teachers. It's not just teachers, it's teachers, it's staff, it's administrators. And so what you guys are doing, just to say to them and say, we're going along with what you're trying to do right now.
Thank you, Adil, for that. Oh, someone else wanted to speak? Sorry.
Antonio, it's Heather. I think I agree with exactly what you're saying. I think we can really also, call out the region. The region stood up across the board throughout July and August. And so that's what I've been doing. I've been saying, look, I mean, you guys say you want this type of thing. Well, it's not enough to be in a march. It's not enough to be this. There are tactical, real changes that have to shift systems. And we're helping you get to where you want to go. And I was talking to that reporter at Stanford, and I was just saying, this is the best move for the white kids also. So this is not just a, hey, our community has been hurting and by the way, I'm white, but I've lived in East Palo Alto for 30 years. So, but I'm talking about our community, East Palo Alto and Belhaven. We do need something, but ultimately this is the best thing regionally. And I think as we continue to help the board call that out, that this is not just, even though it's okay just to be good enough for our community, but it's really a regional answer to a cry that finally is being talked about in public. So I think, as we build our strength, we pull in the allies from the other side.
Very beautifully said. I think the importance of the narrative and shifting the narrative from it not being kind of a quote unquote black and brown thing in certain regions, but really true to the mission of equity that benefits everyone. I'm happy we're going to incorporate that in the letter, frame it that way. I'm sure among us, we know that, but I think it's important that as this conversation involves the region, that people reading the newspapers or the press, the white folks on the quote unquote other side, that they're cognizant that that's the way that we're engaging with this. Thank you. We're kind of already doing this, but I wanted to take a moment to open it up to the public if they wanted to chime in on anything we've said today or just now, or other concerns related to diversity. Really just want to give the floor to the dozens of folks that have taken the time out today to hear us, to listen to us, to contribute their insights. So if there's anyone who'd like to speak, just go ahead and raise that hand, and maybe, definitely would like to hear you out. And we'll also have Spanish interpretation as well. So.
I'm looking for the raised hand feature. Is it here? Okay.
I don't have the raised hand feature on my phone. See now?
We can kind of hear you, Sarah. It kind of comes in and out. Can you try again? Do other folks have trouble hearing that as well?
Maybe she could call in.
Yeah, Sarah,
you guys can't hear me?
yes, we can hear you.
I'm Sarah, and I'm a parent of 2 MA students. I'm the reunion first, and I just wanted to
Sarah, unfortunately, it's still kind of breaking up. Could you try to call instead and see if that works? maybe for the sake of time, we can just move on to the next person. But I'll be happy to send the credentials of the phone number to Sarah privately.
Hi, I wanted to, if it's okay, make a public comment now.
Sure, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Santana, and I have 3 children, but 2 of which are at MA High School. And I'm part of a parent group that formed 3 weeks ago that's now 2,000 parents strong, that's called Reopen Sequoia Union High School District. And so I wanted to represent that group and sort of our goal to try to get the high schools reopened. But I also wanted to just share my support, and I imagine many parents also in the group would support this as well, in terms of increasing diversity in administration and leadership at Sequoia Union. We definitely want it to be representative of the student population and community, and feel that that is very important. And also we would love to have your support in both connecting East Palo Alto families who have high schoolers in the Sequoia Union High School District to join forces with us, because we believe, strength in numbers. I share, a lot of your frustrations, and I think what Maurice said really resonated with me in terms of, we've been, we're trying to work with the board for 11 months now to try to get a plan put together to get high schoolers back at schools, those who choose to, in some hybrid model. And we hear a lot of what they say, is sort of, yes, they understand where we're coming from, but unfortunately, it seems like the board has been really slow to take action. And so, as I said, in 3 weeks, we've assembled 2,000 parents. We had a rally yesterday. We just are not going to give up, because our teenagers are really struggling. Excuse me. High school matters academically, socially, those peer relationships, and they've really been forgotten in the landscape of all of this. The focus has really been on K through 5 or K through 8th even. And I am a child psychologist also professionally, and I'm really seeing the mental health effects that this is having. 11 months, and potentially, it's sounding like Sequoia Union doesn't have a plan even for a return in the fall. It's really tragic. And obviously, in terms of equity, which I know that Superintendent Leach talks a lot about, I imagine it's also really affecting students who were behind already, or students who don't have as many resources at home, and furthering that sort of academic divide. So just hoping that we could partner together. You guys are all welcome to join us at reopensuhsd.com, and hopefully we can join forces together.
Thank you so much,
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
Sorry, Antonio.
No. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I'll just kind of like throw people in the loop. So we'll head on to David next.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Antonio, for organizing this. Maybe it's more of a random question, but now that we've completed the 2020 census, and there's redistricting at all levels of government, to what extent is there going to be any redistricting with an eye for a little bit better equity this time around in school district mapping? I don't know, is it a question for Hector, or where might I go to figure out what, if anything, is going to be done in terms of redrawing the maps for the school districts?
So the county board doesn't set the map. Each individual district sets its maps. And there's no law that's unlike the Congress, there's no law that says that districts have to redraw their maps after each census. However, this is an opportunity, if this is what we want to do, for the community to engage the board to say, you know, you're under no obligation to, but we just finished a census. Maybe it's time to redraw those maps. I think Sequoia's maps are only 3 years old, but yeah, they're not. No district is really compelled to update their maps. They're really just being pressured to switch to district by district elections. But if the community wanted a district to redraw its maps, it would just take community effort to do that.
So maybe that's something we as a group can advocate for in terms of the high school districts.
Yep.
Just throwing it out there.
Thank you, David. We'll go on to Jerry.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to see everyone on this call. So my name is Jerry Chang. I'm with the City of East Palo Alto as a Fuse Executive Advisor. I was hearing earlier, we talked about the official selection time is ending on Friday. Is that right? And we don't really know how many candidates or if there's any candidates of color. I've been a part of several like ED searches in the past, and very few of them aren't extended. I mean, is there room for extending so we get some answers, or at least, you know, could the final end date of the search be tied to having an X number of diverse candidates met, you know, so that you don't close it out without any diversity even possible in the selection process? So if I missed something in the conversation, sorry about making you repeat this, but yeah.
Yeah, no, not sure if we're going down that road again, trying to extend the process, but just a little background is that the process, if the board does not feel satisfied with the candidate pool that they were given, they can go back out. They can put it back out. And Leadership Associates usually has, at least the 2 times I work with them, they usually have a guarantee to give you the candidates that you want, number one. Number two, and typically if that candidate leaves within that first year, then they'll actually do the entire process all over again. So at this point, I don't think it's prudent for us to demand that the process be extended at the 11th hour.
Got it.
Yeah.
And if I can add to, and that letter that Antonio's doing also, though, there's this opportunity to, while only the board can extend its search, I think there is room to say something along the lines of, because only the board's going to see who the field is, right? So they're under no obligation to share who their field is, again, for confidentiality reasons. But I think it is fair for this group to say, and while we can't demand to see this list, I think it would be prudent of the board to consider extending if it doesn't meet the criteria the board and the community have asked for. You know, something along those lines. You get where I'm going with that one?
So
Yeah.
like kind of like, yeah, go ahead.
Jared, by all means, go ahead.
Oh, so it's like letting them know, like, these are the things we expect for us to be happy with the fact that you're moving forward with your candidates that you have. We expect that there's some diversity, something like that, or is that even too strong?
I think it's more just, what we stand for. And number one, we stand in solidarity with the teachers who are already doing this work. Number two, we stand in solidarity with the community who has these needs and who, we're just saying what we are looking for, and we hope that is aligned with what you're looking for. And I think they want to say that it is, and the only thing that will show that that's true is what happens at the end of it, right?
Right. Yeah, I definitely think, saying, hey, we're a tool for you to use. We're also trying to give you the opportunity to do the right thing.
Thank you. Was that it, Jerry? Or do you want to add anything else?
No, I think that's good for now. Yeah. Trying to understand the process.
Awesome. Well, I will hand it off to Andy.
What's going on, folks? My name is Andy Robinson. It's good to see some of you I know and meet or virtually see some of you I haven't met before. If you don't know me, I've been a teacher here in EPA for about the last 10 years in HU, HS, SAU, HSD. I'm on our equity council here locally at our school site. I have a couple thoughts, and I really, really appreciate the work that's happening here. I really appreciate everyone on this committee for all the time, for all the thought, for all the work. I appreciate you, Antonio, for being a voice that can bring us together, as you put, with the microphone for the community song. And that's what we need. And I would respectfully say that now is exactly the time to make demands, that our district is listening now. We've been beating our head against a brick wall, trying to get that district board to listen to us, to stop punishing our students for their poverty for years. That's why our school exists. We were founded around the year 2000 because our community was being systematically underserved and survivors of systematic racism within that district that put our young people at risk and that limited our young people's opportunities. Now they are listening. At least they say they are. The word is said a lot in those emails, but I'm wondering, where is the action to back it up? We have a lot of, I really, really am praying for the day I can safely be in a classroom with my students again. It hurts me every day that I'm not. But in all due respect to the parent who spoke a minute ago, East Palo Alto currently has numbers that are double the purple tier. Right now, with a district board that is almost all white, used to be all white, we have a plan to go back in now, which went against months of planning of waiting for the orange and yellow district, orange and yellow color code for us to get back in the classroom. Last week, one of my students lost his grandfather here. Last week, one of my students lost her 11-year-old niece with special needs here. So we can talk about a lot of the socio-emotional needs of our students, and they are deep and they are great across all our communities. And we are all living through a pandemic where our mental and our physical health is constantly under attack. But I would argue that sending students back into a classroom right now when their families are dying, when my colleague lost her father and her brother was in ICU a few weeks ago, that's the community that we are trying to serve right now. And right now, because of a small group of wealthy parents, or maybe not that small of a group anymore, but we are being put in an unsafe situation here in East Palo Alto at the school that was built as a community school. We joined the district 6 or 7 years ago for back office support and a lot of different things, but we were very, very clear that we are entering the belly of the beast because we exist because of the institutional racism in those spaces. And so it is really concerning to me that now life or death decisions are being made and our community is still not being represented. The only data that's being used is from emailed surveys that are out for a few weeks that do not do the real work, like Antonio, of meeting those in our community, hearing their voices and understanding what the needs are. So I would just say that yes, now is the time to demand because they are listening and they won't be listening forever. So I do agree that we have to word things in a way that brings people in. But I also think we need to make very clearly what we are demanding for our community and what we're fighting for, and that we're willing to fight for it hard and for as long as it takes to make sure that this district serves our students and supports our local schools that are doing everything in our power to intimately serve the socio-emotional and academic needs of every young person who enters our gates. So that's where I would leave it for today. And again, I so appreciate y'all for all the work that you were doing.
Thank you, Andy. Oh, we'll go to Francisco.
Hello, my name is Francisco. I recently graduated from Woodside High School in 2020. So just like I was given the opportunity to work with Antonio alongside with his campaign. And as I walked door to door, like it was really interesting to like hear about what some of the parents had to say who had students or kids that went to schools within the Sequoia district. And like I just feel like it's important to also like talk about sort of like the comfort level, because like as a minority, I know it feels like sort of hesitant to like reach out for whatever it is And I think it's important that we have diversity at the top because, like Marie said, that's like where it starts. And that's pretty much it. But I've had a great opportunity, and lots of parents wish they had a voice. And meetings like this are great because you get to really like talk about some of your experiences. Personally, I haven't had any, but I know that lots of parents do wish they could speak out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francisco. We'll go on to Sarah.
Hi, this is Sarah, and I'm so sorry about, I was in my car dropping off someone. So I just wanted to respond. First of all, I'm also a parent of an two MA students, a junior and a freshman. And I just actually wanted to first respond to something that the previous or two speakers ago, I think it was Andy, said about students being, and teachers being forced to go back. And just to clarify, our group is not advocating for anyone to have to go back. We just want people to have the choice to go back. So I just wanted to clarify that. And, we do recognize that we are part of a bigger community. And we think that all students should just have the opportunity to be in school if they want to be in school. In terms of the search, I think that this board really has an issue with transparency, and I think putting pressure on them to have more transparency is, as you said, is a really good tactic. I think it's a way to force them to be accountable to the community. I don't know if everyone saw on the search page if you guys have all the dates or not, because I just was looking up this search, and the position for applications doesn't even close until the 26th. So they're probably still collecting applications. And then they say they start interviewing the 26th of March. So it does provide a little bit a sense of where this is going. But I think the best way is I would reach out to leadership associates and find out who they're planning to talk to. So because they have already identified the people who are going to talk to the candidates beyond the board if they're doing these listening sessions. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. We'll go on to Catalina.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Catalina Tuamilao. I'm with Innovate Public Schools, but also a cousin of two who are currently at MA, a senior and a sophomore. And I just hope in this process, as we continue to look for diverse leaders, that we also look for leadership that would address the issue of two schools within one school. I'm not sure if all of you are aware, but MA has been known to have two different schools within its school. You have the students that are brought from East Palo Alto, Bellhaven, or the Black and Brown students, and then you have the rich, affluent students of Menlo Park, Atherton. And so the hope is that that we'll have leadership come into a position where they can take action so that there is more diversity within the school, and so that there's more equity within the school, not just within the district, but the sites itself. And so I'll just share that from a personal standpoint, and then also invite leaders, parents that want to be involved and want to develop their skills on advocacy. I'm going to go ahead and put my info in the chat and welcome anyone to contact me, because that's what we're doing. We're developing parents and students voices so that they can advocate for their rights in places like this. And so thank you, Antonio, for the invitation. Thank you so much for allowing me to be in this space, and really appreciate all that's been shared here.
If I could just interject for 1 second, because I see Innovate here, and I want to recognize that there's been a complicated relationship in the past with groups like Innovate from some districts because of the role of charter schools. But I want to take this moment to say that Innovate can organize parents like nothing I've ever seen. And that is a good thing, right? It's ultimately about students and families and their needs. And so I just wanted to put that out there that regardless of the relationship that exists between Innovate and any district, I appreciate the work that you all do to organize our communities, because it's there to help. And I just had to say that the work you do with our community and our families is just tremendous work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catalina. I also have another, I received through email, another public comment through letter. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read it aloud for everyone. This is from Angela. Dear members of the ad hoc, and it was sent to me at 1 o'clock today. Dear members of the Ad Hoc Committee for Diversification of Sequoia, my name is Angela Lopez. I'm from East Palo Alto, California. I would like to share with you a bit of my experience as a recent graduate of MA and why I'm in support of the work you're all doing. Throughout my time at MA, I, along with my peers of color, were discouraged by our counselors from enrolling in AP classes, while other students not of color were encouraged and often expected to do so. Oftentimes, when students of color expressed their desire to enroll in AP classes, the counselors gave them a concerned expression and asked, quote, "Are you sure?" end quote. This concern for students of color in upper division classes was evident even in teachers. In my AP class, AS English, I had noticed that the teacher would always observe me and other students of color and ask if we needed help whenever we were working on an assignment, whilst the other students were left alone to be independent. It was as if the teacher was watching me to see if I would fail. For a school that loves to boast about their, quote, strength and diversity, end quote, this is unacceptable, that we do not have leadership at the top that looks like the community it serves. Having a Black or brown superintendent would make me feel more confident that issues like the ones I faced in AP classrooms won't happen again, because they would actively work to fix problems instead of waiting for a student like me to tell them. Thank you for taking the time to read this letter. Best, Angela, Menlo Atherton High School, class of 2020. So just wanted to make sure that Angela was also acknowledged in this public comment. Wanted to add that. Is there anyone else at this time who would like to make comment who hasn't had a chance to do so? I see, Sarah, would you like to say, make a point again, or are you just having a, let's see the raise hand function, or? No, well, I guess in that case, if not, I think we'll end on that note. I think that was really poignant, really embodied a lot of the issues that we're concerned with. I'm really grateful that we heard from 2 of the students today, alumni and present from the schools. And I think, again, for next steps, authorizing a letter, I will go ahead and draft it up and send it to the ad hoc, and to see if it's sufficient and suffices what we've talked about. Also, just to let you all know, this is a recorded meeting and likely to post it up online through YouTube. So folks who haven't had a chance to tune in can do so. If there are any objections to it, please let me know, or I can splice out folks' comments who made a comment who don't want it to be publicized. More than happy to amend to that. But if not, if there are no further comments, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Hector, did you have something to say?
Yeah, Antonio, could you Google Doc that? So back and forth emails?
Yeah, Google Doc the email? The letter, I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, does that work for everyone else?
Yes, and Antonio, I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. And I just want to thank Mr. Robinson. You expressed what I've been feeling. I've been off camera for a while. Just in case none of you know this, last Thursday, the county released data by census tract. I've been trying to get it for 8 months. 52% of the COVID cases are in my community. And when my children, my neighbors' children come up and say, I'm not going back to campus because I don't feel safe. Why? Because their neighbor is sick. Their relative is sick. They may be sick. And so those are the things that need to be acknowledged. I know that, you know, it's an option for some people to go back or not. Some people don't have the option. I mean, the same thing for work. Our options are usually taken away for us because there's usually a barrier somewhere in the path that we're headed in. And so I really appreciate what you said and how you expressed it. And something that I shared with our elected representative. This is the first time we've had someone specifically representing our community, East Palo Alto, the Belhaven community, North Fair Oaks. And I said, if I had the opportunity to have a task force or multiple task force working towards the same goal that I was, my success 2 years ago would be a little bit different. I didn't have that going into office. I'm the first representative on the Menlo Park City Council for the Belhaven community in nearly 40 years. So you can imagine what has been done to us educationally, when it comes to housing, when it comes to employment. We have never been the priority. And right now, this community was skipped over for Wi-Fi. North Fair Oaks got it. East Palo Alto got it. We didn't. And so any voice that's elevated from our youth, from our parents, from our teachers, from anybody who wants to help, I welcome it. Whether I agree with it or not, it's not about that. It's about community organizing, it's about advocating, and it's about creating space so people have an opportunity. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. Robinson, you inspire me. My background is in teaching. You inspire me, and I appreciate everything that you're doing for our youth.
Thank you very, very much, Councilman Taylor. Very eloquently said, and absolutely, when we think about equity, the community of Belhaven, you know, is unfortunately neglected too often. So, you know, your presence and advocacy is so appreciated in this meeting, in this group. So, definitely just want to echo and champion that. Any other final comments before we adjourn?
I just wanted to say that I really love the conversations that we're having. That's exactly what we want to have. We want to have all perspectives represented. You know, if we were coming from the angle that choice, you know, both for teachers and students, you know, might be a good option. But, you know, if it's not, we want to definitely understand why and see what other options are out there. I would love to find a way to be able to continue the conversation about students in the Sequoia Union School District and, you know, returning to school or distance learning, or, you know, what works for all of all of the families in our communities. And I don't know if there's some format, you know, obviously it's, you know, going to take putting our heads together to figure something out. So I don't know if there's some other opportunity to continue this conversation.
Yeah, no, thank you, Elizabeth, for that. Certainly, you know, when we look into the future and what this group seeks to discuss, we can certainly consider that. But again, just having everyone here on the same conversation is already moving the needle forward. So thank you, everyone, for your participation. Grateful for being here. I'm excited. I have huge optimism for what we can get done. Have a wonderful and safe week, and we will see you all very soon.
Thank you, Antonio.
Take care, everyone.